Hello, everybody. Welcome back
to Nipples. I am flicking my nipples.
For anybody listening to just the audio, Sean is currently flicking his nipples. They're getting harder by the second.
My nipples are SAG, by the way. They're not saggy, but they're SAG affiliated. So
very exciting. Hopefully, we are able to get through this entire episode without my internet shitting the bed. The weather in California is currently very soggy and very wet. There's a lot of flash flood warnings. There was snow near me, which is wild and apparently hasn't happened since the 1950s.
I don't know what's happening. It's like a fucking circus over there.
We're killing our planet. That's what's happening. We've been killing our planet. Woo, baby.
And if you subscribe to the Brain Leak podcast, you too can kill the planet with two of your favorite creators.
Oh, damn, guys. Isn't it great being alive on Earth?
You know how people go out and they do like, oh, let's like mobilize our audience and clean the beaches. What if we went out and just like had like a methane festival? Instead of like Burning Man, we had like a week long of just burn everything.
We're just out in public parks, just like, hey guys, today we're gonna burn 300 tons of tires.
What's that? Oh, the plastic shipment is here. It's just like a big fucking black cloud wherever we are. That'd be sick. Just speed up the process. Let's get it over with. Earth and global warming is like a real will they, won't they kind of scenario. Are they going to do it? Who knows?
I'm pretty sure we've been doing it.
Oh.
Using our influence for good. That's right, everybody. Go out there and kill the world.
Kill the planet. I love Al Gore.
Great. You know, it's kind of like jazz, this podcast. You know, it doesn't follow the rules.
There's no beat to it. Oh, we could have... Oh, back to names. We could have called it the Jazzcast. We did do a photo shoot for it since last time, which editors put in an example, or all of them, whichever ones came out.
And if you're listening to this while you're driving,
pull over. There's a cop right behind you. Watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're just listening, you're gonna have to go to Instagram or Twitter or something and find Brain Leak, and it's a lot harder. I'm sorry, your ears can't see things. Unless you're Morbius.
That's what's so beautiful about the human experience. You know, we can use this technology to give vision to those who can't see the thing in front of them. We're kind of like Mr. Beast for the people, you know?
Mr. Ears.
We can describe everything in vivid detail, like they were pictures of two white men standing in front of a light.
Sometimes we lay down.
Sometimes we did lay down. The photo shoot was really fun, though. If you've seen the photos, obviously brain leak has to do with the brain. And so we were like, oh, we could do a cool thing with like brain, and maybe we're doing surgery on each other. But then it just kind of turned into like this fake medical podcast.
We had so much medical equipment there. We had like a real bone saw, some forceps. It was like giant tweezers, a tray, a bed.
It was awesome. Like, the production design of it was, like, really cool, but getting through it, we were like, is this kind of wasted on us? Because we're not a medical podcast.
Yeah, and then we got covered in blood, and I was like, can we use this anywhere? I don't know. It looks cool, but it's blood, and no one likes blood.
No, blood.
Blood!
Not funny.
Which, afterwards... We got covered in blood, and then we had to take it off, and we were like scrubbing for ages, and we used like 3 creams and sand, and we used everything on our faces to try and get it off. And then our faces were just pink anyway, which was either residue or just scrubbing too hard. And I swear, for like a week afterwards, my skin was all like, oh, I don't like it.
Oh, my skin didn't have a problem.
Oh, well, fucking good for you then, I guess. Under my eyes were just like all crusty. It was like... It's like pizza. It was awful. I was like so sensitive and sore.
Sensitive boy.
But tell me more about how your skin was great and fine and actually started glowing afterwards, and the acne went away, and we just crops started growing.
We got the acne out of my ears. We had snow in Los Angeles. It was beautiful.
Everything is changing. Do you have hair on your body where you didn't have hair before?
I have no I have no body hair. This podcast is so good, guys.
Were you just gonna say I have no hot body hair? Oh yeah,
no hot body hair.
My body hair. Sometimes you just gotta let the bear breathe.
I'm very excited though. It was really fun doing the photo shoots and doing the little promo video. Made everything feel more real now that the ball is rolling.
Yeah, our big beautiful ball is in someone's court, and now it's up to us to carry that game as far as we can. I don't know. We can do it. We're smart. We're intelligent. We're funny. We're sexy. We're cute. We're horny. I am horny for trivia.
That's what we could have made the podcast. We could have named the podcast Horny for Podcast.
Oh, swallow my podcast.
Oh, that was one, wasn't it? Oh, wait, no, it was Come on my podcast.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Oh, that would have been a very different photo shoot.
God, we're just in big bathtubs of milk.
Milk? Ew.
Yeah.
Would have been better for my skin, at least.
Yeah, it would have. Did you know that any white liquid is milk?
What?
Mm-hmm. The CDC said so.
The CDC.
Any white liquid.
Wait, any white... Is that why you can get away with, like, skim milk and almond milk? Can't milk an almond.
Sure can. There's little guy down there.
Little
udders. Yeah. You just gotta look hard.
Wait, any white... I'm Googling this right now. I don't believe you.
What? No, that was a joke, 100%.
Is any white liquid milk? FDA rules any white liquid can be called milk. The Onion. Okay, fair enough. Fine.
Good stuff.
You win.
Good stuff. Great stuff.
I have nipples, Ethan. Could you milk me?
How much
semen do you average?
Okay, here's a question. We shouldn't.
Yeah, we should. Oh, we're in it now. I've tapped into this vein.
What is the average volume of cum in a shot?
I think it's like a teaspoon is like the average. It's either a teaspoon or a tablespoon. I don't think it's very much.
But that's a really big difference. Teaspoon versus tablespoon? That's huge.
I think it's a teaspoon. Because I remember hearing it and thinking, that's really not a lot. Mm-hmm. I just do loads.
But a tablespoon sounds too much.
It's not as big as a table.
How much cum in the average?
In the atmosphere.
Shot? What is the average volume and distance of male ejaculate?
Distance? Should we have the cum Olympics? We can invite many YouTubers.
I feel like Charlie should be at the helm of that.
Yeah, we should pitch him that idea.
A person may be able to ejaculate up to a teaspoon of semen to a distance of a few feet.
A teaspoon. How many milliliters in a teaspoon?
4.9. We'll call it 5 milliliters in 1 teaspoon.
That really isn't that much, but it tracks.
Let's get those numbers up.
Yeah, those are rookie numbers. When we meet up at our garbage burning festival, we can all add to the cum dumpster, and then we'll set that on fire.
Oh, good. We have so many plans for this podcast now. This is great.
This is awesome. Brain leak. More like ejaculate.
This is such a good podcast, guys.
Look, I'm sorry. This is what podcasts are. I can't sit here and like kickflip.
Did you ever skateboard?
I tried. Yeah.
I skateboarded for a little bit.
We had a hill like next to our house that was like tarmac or like asphalt. And I would go down that, but it's like every little stone would kill me. And I was very small. I was like, what, 10 kilos?
It's almost a teaspoon in the US.
I tried ollieing for a while. I'd be in like my backyard and I would be trying to do that. And I just couldn't get the mechanics down. So I stopped.
I skateboarded for a little bit. I landed a kickflip, I think, 3 times.
Damn.
So that was pretty cool. We had this big hill in my neighborhood, though. And if you weren't careful, you'd get speed wobble on that. I remember one time, me and my friends, we took our skateboards and we went down this huge hill, but we sat on the skateboards and then we all got speed wobble halfway through and fell off and then just like grinded our asses on the ground. It was great.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
It was super great and super fun.
Looking like the surface of Mars after that. Just red and raw, baby.
It was great. It was
I never
so
did that.
fun.
I like rollerblading though. Rollerblading's tight.
My dad would rollerblade back in the day.
Oh, did your dad skate? Like with skates?
He did, yeah.
And did he have like a mustache and booty shorts? Because he feels like the kind of guy who would do that.
I wonder if he did or not. This was when he was going to college in Atlanta. So he might have.
Think
I don't know.
your dad was swimming in muff?
Oh man, was he back then
when he busted out the quad wheels, he was like, "What up?
Damn.
Just gonna go down this ramp." And then his accent changed. He was like, "Pop shove it. Watch this."
And he just does like a tiny little flop.
I'm gonna totally like inline gnar on this 420, bro. Ethan, I have a very important question for you. Do you take your health seriously?
Man, I haven't been taking my health seriously. You know, I just been eating mud.
You silly, stupid little man.
Listen, I just don't know where to start, Sean.
You can start with athletic greens.
You want to roll that one again?
You can start with athletic greens. Look, I'm Irish. I don't say ATH words properly.
Athletic greens?
Yeah.
What is that?
Athletic Greens is a supplemental drink that you can have for your body, whether you want to increase your vitamin nutrient intake, or like me, you got bad bowels, you've been dealt a rough hand. You got to drink this because it'll fix what's wrong with you.
Oh, man.
It'll fix your face.
Nothing can fix that. You know, I've been wanting to I take a boatload of pills every day. They're so big and I have to swallow them and it hurts my throat. I've really been wanting something that can just kind of combine everything into one easy little powder that I can just add water to and shake it up and drink it and know that I'm getting all of the vitamins and supplements that I need to start my day and feel great.
Yeah, because just one daily serving covers all your nutritional bases and supports long-term good health with 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. 75. You can't even count that high.
No, but I love gut health.
It's easy. It's seamless. It's a daily habit. Get into it. Every morning or after your workout or before your workout. Do it.
I'm looking for a simpler, cost-effective supplement routine. And Athletic Greens is ready to give me or you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 travel packs with my first purchase. Or your first purchase.
And if you go to athleticgreens.com/leak, that's athleticgreens.com/leak.
LEAK.
You can leak some fluid into your daily greens and then put it in your body. You can't leak unless you put some Athletic Greens in first.
Yeah, what are you going to be leaking? Just bad stuff. And Athletic Greens with AG1 is going to give it all the good stuff for you to leak properly and well and goodly.
And I've tried it. I've had it. I've scooped. Scoop. I've put the vitamins in. Even came with a little dropper with vitamin D. Just one little drop in. And I got all the nutrients I needed. And I felt better, fresher, more energized. Because all I do is sit in the chair.
More leaky.
I leaked
I felt more
all
leaky.
Day. Go try it out for yourself. athleticgreens.com/leak.
athleticgreens.com/leak. Thank you, Athletic Greens, for allowing us to continuously leak into the ether. My dad told me that when he was in college, because he went to art school in Atlanta, and I was like, what was the coolest thing that you made? And he was like, well, I wasn't able to bring it with me when I moved out because it was gigantic, but he made a life-size replica of a great white shark out of Mountain Dew cans.
What?
Yeah. He cut open a bunch of Mountain Dew cans and he drank a bunch of Mountain Dew, I guess, back then. So he cut all the cans open and then just made like a life-size replica of a great white shark out of it.
It was for the art. I know, I'm drinking it for the art. 40 cans in, shaking like crazy. Okay, cool, I guess. That's so bizarre and weird. I made a helicopter out of wood for my junior cert, as we call it here. It's like after 3 years, you do an exam to like prepare you for, I guess you guys call them the SATs. Are the SATs like what you take before you go to college? Like that's how you determine to get in college. Yeah. We have junior cert and leaving certificate. So you do junior cert, which is like a mini version of it after 3 years. And then you do 3 more and do the final one to go to college.
But was that a test?
Yeah.
Or was it a project? Okay.
It was like a woodworking exam. So it's like my practical exam. Because it's like woodworking. What do you answer? You don't get like theory.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this wood?
The SAT is just standardized testing in the US. And I think they might be changing it now so they don't do them as frequently because a lot of colleges don't they don't care about SAT scores anymore. It used to be like the big thing is like you had to do well on your SAT because that would be what colleges looked at. But now they've realized that standardized testing is stupid.
What did you get in your SATs?
So the way that they do it is, and I don't know if this has changed, so it's out of 2,400, or when I took it, it was out of 2,400. There was a math, a like reading and writing, and I think a science. I can't remember. But you can take it multiple times. So I took it twice. The first time I got like a 15 something, which is like, meh.
I thought that would be good, no?
It's like a little below average. It's also hard though because everyone that went to my school was smart.
Or were you just stupid?
This is true. Probably that. No, but I think there was one girl in my grade that got a perfect score on the SAT.
There's always one.
I don't know. And then the second time I did worse. I got like a 1310, I think.
Wait, second time?
Yeah. So you're allowed to take it multiple times, and then they'll just take your best score.
They're like, you kind of fucked up that first one. Let's do 2 out of 3.
Yeah, so I took it again, and I got worse. I got a 1310.
Yeah, it's not like that. Wait, is an SAT? Whenever I see SATs in movies, I see people like ticking boxes and filling in boxes and shit like that. Is that the SATs?
Yeah, I think it was through like a Scantron kind of thing. There was multiple choice and then there was some written stuff. So I remember there was a part where you had to write an essay for the writing, and then there was also a reading comprehension part of the test where you had to read a thing and then answer a bunch of questions. Right. I can't remember if it was multiple choice or if you had to write out the answers, but it was just about reading comprehension. So it was like, why did Sally kill her brother? What was her motive? And then you had to say, because you comprehended the reading.
Because he was a son of a bitch and stole all her pencils.
Yes.
No, in Ireland, there's no like multiple choice things, which I feel like there shouldn't be in exams. If you're like to learn something, you shouldn't be able to like guess an answer.
Well, that's why a lot of places are, I'm assuming that's why a lot of places are way more lax about SATs, because it doesn't measure your intelligence. It measures how well you can take a test. Because those are two very different things, especially if there's multiple choice, because it's just like, okay, you don't actually know the answer, but you know which answers aren't correct. So it's like, okay, that doesn't really mean that you know the thing. That means that you can kind of figure it out.
For us, it's all like just a shit ton of writing. It's all like essay type answers for everything. And when I was in college as well, it's like you just sit in the room for like 4 hours and you're just writing all day and your hand gets sore, and I hated it. And then, I mean, I always did well on my exams, but I remember doing my leaving cert, which is like the SATs, and I had like geography as a class. And I remember learning like a 4-page essay that I could use for an answer if a certain question came up. And they'd be like, some of these questions might come up for your exam, so like learn these topics. So they were like kind of hint at us before it came up. Kind of like, be in these ballparks. And then when it came to the day, that question didn't come up at all, but I wrote down that answer anyway. So it was like, I think they gave me marks for remembering a lot of information, even if it wasn't directly attached to that question. They were like, he tried. He knows something.
Did you also, on the SAT, I think you get points for every answer you get correct, and you get points off for answers you get wrong. But if you leave a question blank, then nothing happens.
Just answer the ones you know and then leave the rest blank?
Literally. And that's what they would tell you. They would be like, if you don't know the answer, if you're not firm on the answer, don't put anything. Because if you get it wrong, then you'll get points taken off. So it's like, this is stupid. Also, you get, this adds to the standardized testing is stupid. You get points for putting your fucking name on the test.
They tried. Good for them, you know?
Yeah.
Ethan Noster. Close enough. Give it to him.
Close. Did you guys have to, because I remember I was always very frustrated about this, and I guess I kind of get it, but with math, they were always really big on showing your work.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, even if you got the answer correct, in my school, if you didn't show the work, depending on the class, but like if you didn't show the work, then you wouldn't actually get the question right because you didn't show your work.
Because you got certain marks if you got it right, but you got way more if you showed how you got there. So let's say you get 10 marks for the question, you would get like 2 for writing the right answer. You get like a small amount of it, but then you had to show how it was done, because for us, for our math book, in secondary school, we had like all the answers in the back of it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you guys were the same.
Oh, yeah.
So you could always like check your own work, but it was always about how you did your equations. And then it was like, if you looked at the back, then it was like, okay, 42, great, I got 42. So my solution must be correct. Mm-hmm. But I fucking hated that. I hated sitting in class. And then the whole class was like, did you do your homework? Yeah, whatever. And then she would go down one by one for each student to be like, okay, we'll start at question number 1. How did you do it? Then halfway through, cut to the next student. And then I was always like, okay, she keeps doing that. By the time it gets to me, I'll be on 13 part 2. So I need to make sure I had that done. And I never had it done. I hated math homework.
Thinking back to when I was in school, specifically high school, I don't know how I graduated at all. Speaking of graduating, I have dreams about high school all the time, and I had one 2 nights ago.
Wow.
It was great. But I don't know how I graduated because I don't really like ever remember doing homework. Like somehow it got done. But I never did work after school at home. Like I would always do it like maybe I guess like in a study hall or like right before class started or something.
I always did mine in the mornings because the bus that took me to school would take us like a half hour early. Mm-hmm. So I would just go to like the library in our school and I would have some of my homework done because I liked English and things like that, but I never had like math or French or anything that had those kinds of answers to them. I was always good at like bullshitting my way through it. And I loved a good story, weave a good yarn.
Oh, bye.
And my friend was always really good at math, and I would always just steal his answers. But if he got it wrong and then I had it wrong, I was like,
yeah.
Whoops.
I remember my teacher in my algebra class, because my best friend sat next to me, and she realized that we were copying each other's homework because we would get the same wrong answer. And she'd be like, you guys sit next to each other. What's going on here? How many people were in your class?
In my class, there was 25.
Okay.
Why, is that
small.
Big or small?
No, it's small. I mean, even my class was 140.
Oh, Lord.
But there were schools near us that, like, I remember my friend that I went to gymnastics with, his class was like 400 kids.
He just split it all up between like 5 teachers.
I mean, how many teachers did you have in your school?
Like 12, maybe less. I can't remember. Because there's a lot of classes I didn't take, and then some are like counselors and stuff, but not teachers. And
wow, yeah, because we had like teachers alone, we probably had like close to 30.
Oh, good God.
Maybe.
And you still learned nothing.
And I still learned nothing.
Did you have any teachers that were like super hot?
Yes, my English teacher, was that sophomore year, maybe junior year. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say her name, but I'll say that she has the same last. No, I won't.
She has the same last name as William Shakespeare.
She had a lower back tattoo that was a butterfly.
Damn, she a baddie.
Sometimes we'd catch a peek and we'd go, ooh.
Yeah, we had our French teacher was, I mean, she wasn't like mega hot or anything, but it was like when you're young and it's like the best of a bad lot. So for us, it was like, that was the teacher you couldn't concentrate on because I remember one day she came to class with like white pants on and a black thong and you could see it underneath the pants, which right now is like, you probably knew what you were doing and that seems kind of unprofessional.
Yeah.
But maybe you didn't know what you were doing and then we were all really distracted and I had a hard time concentrating already.
I remember when I was, I guess I was also a sophomore when this happened. Our English department in our school, I don't know what was going on, but they were fucking horny because there was always an English teacher that was about to have a baby.
Oh.
Either they were pregnant or their wife was pregnant or something, but they were all fucking all the time.
It's the poetry. They know how to use their words.
Exactly. But there was, I can't remember his name, and even if I did, I shouldn't say it anyway. But we had a new English teacher that came in for the year because the normal one was pregnant. And he was probably, looking back, like 28. He looked like a lumberjack model.
Damn.
And so everyone was just swooning over him.
Damn, I guess him and I have some stuff in common, huh?
Yeah, you ever go out back and just chop some wood? Oh.
I did, but it wasn't as sexy as it is on TikTok.
You're just like, oh, fuck, I can't get the log to break.
Like, breaks and hits you in the shin, and it's like, owie, ow, I got my shinny hurt.
Ow, 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 ow.
But we had a class, like, it was called T-Graph, or Technical Graphics. It was like architecture drawing kind of stuff.
Mm.
And we had a teacher for that, and again, I won't say his name, but he was like the hot male teacher in our school. Mm-hmm. And they obviously knew because it was a small school. Everybody had like nicknames for them, which again, I won't say because it will just deduce who it is. But they would always talk about his ass. And I remember seeing him walk around the school and he had a fucking cake. Like he was young and he was fit and he played sports, but he had like two little like apples in his pants and he walked with like a really nice swagger and I was like, he knows what's going on. He always wore like cord pants. I'm like,
he knows what's happening.
Damn.
Oh, baby.
But yeah, I had him and even he was distracting to me. I was like, man, hormones are kicking in. That's a ass, bro.
You're just like in history and he's bending over to help another student and you're just like, anybody else seeing this shit? Look at this.
This is going to be in the history books now.
Damn, dude.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
My school was very small, but that just meant it got up to a lot of delinquency. There was a lot of nonsense in that school. A lot of people fighting with each other. A lot of people getting pregnant at 16.
I don't remember there being a ton of drama. I just remember they banned school dances except for prom.
Too much grinding.
There was too much grinding, but also some people did the classic thing of like before a dance soaking tampons in vodka, which is insanely dangerous.
Wait, as in they would soak the tampons in vodka, bring them with them, and then suck the vodka out, or put them in?
No, put them inside of them.
To
which
absorb
is like,
it?
Yeah, like similar to like butt chugging, I guess.
Wait,
but it's super dangerous.
Butt chugging?
So as far as I know, nobody at my school was butt chugging anything.
What is a butt chugging?
You've never heard of butt chugging?
I mean, I've heard it in like a sentence, but I thought What? I thought butt chugging was like oh God, you're such a butt chugger. Like it was just something you said to someone. I didn't know you actually did anything.
Oh, this is so great. Yeah. No, let me learn you. Yeah. No, butt chugging's been around for centuries. It's also called boofing. Yeah, because it's for anybody listening, do not ever butt chug anything, or don't put alcohol in your system other than drinking it like a normal person, because it's extremely dangerous. It just gets in your system. I think it gets like in your bloodstream way faster. So literally you would like put a bottle, like the tip of a bottle of something in your ass and then just kind of like
oh my God.
I don't know. I've never butt chugged anything. I don't really know the mechanics of it.
I could just imagine like a keg and someone's like upside down as they hold their legs and just stick a hose in their ass.
I'm pretty sure Steve-O did that, actually.
Oh!
They did a lot of stuff like that in Jackass.
This sounds like a South Park episode where they like put the food in their ass and it comes out their mouth.
Yeah, it's kind of what it's like.
I don't believe in the science behind that.
It's super dangerous, but no, people weren't butt chugging at my school, as far as I know. I mean, I'm sure somebody did at some point. But yeah, there was an issue, I remember, of girls taking tampons, soaking them in vodka, and then putting it up there.
I can just imagine the guys getting together and be like, "Yo, Steve and Kyler are coming over later. Time to get the time to get the douche out and make sure that it has an easy access canal. We want maximum soakage, bro." God, it's so fucking weird. But that's the thing is, when you drink alcohol, it goes in your stomach and then stays there. If you butt chug, that liquid doesn't get absorbed into your ass canal like that. Like the alcohol maybe, but you don't get rid of the liquid. Do you just turn back upside down again and then it all flies out like a fucking enema?
I don't know. I guess it is kind of like an alcohol enema. Okay.
bro, I just got boofed with Kyler.
Okay, it's butt chugging is the act of ingesting alcohol through one's rectum via a tube. Once in your rectum, the alcohol is absorbed through the mucous membranes.
Hell yeah. Shout out membrane.
Shout out to my mucous membranes.
Look, that's not the part I wanted to know. The other part was what I need to know. Where liquid go when in ass? It's like when Sam is pregnant and she go in morph ball. Where go baby?
What happened to baby? Where does the liquid
were there girls like
you...
tamping and boofing at the same time?
Maybe.
That's like when you like put coffee grounds in an espresso machine and you compact it down. That's called tamping. So I'm going to change that definition to be when you soak a tampon with alcohol and shove it. Why don't the guys just get tampons and cover them in alcohol and then put that in their ass?
I don't know, Sean. Why don't you go talk to a school?
Oh, I would have been like Einstein back in your school. I would have been able to like rectify the science, pun intended. I don't know why I did that like Richard Nixon. Rectify the
science. None of these articles are giving me answers on what happens. It's just that the alcohol is absorbed into the bloodstream through the lining of the colon.
That's crazy. Do you want to know a time that I almost got sexually harassed by a teacher?
Sure.
Actually, it kind of is, because we were doing a play of Bugsy Malone, which I was playing the eponymous hero, Bugsy. Also, your camera's focusing on your microphone, not your face. I was playing...
I'm not familiar with the plot of Bugsy. Is it important or no?
It's like a mobster, like kind of like New Yorkian kind of thing. But we had to do a thing where it was me, and I think the other character's name was Tallulah? I can't remember. But it was like another girl in my class, and there was like a dance number kind of song part where Bugsy and Tallulah were like dancing together or doing something where they had to be like romantic. And I remember...
Was the teacher Tallulah?
She role played for a little bit.
Nice.
Well, what was worse was that this teacher was also one of the hotter teachers that came through our school. Also an English teacher, and she went away because she got pregnant.
What is up with these English teachers? Somebody needs to do a study.
Maybe because they're sexually harassing students.
I mean, possibly.
But it was weird because she was like, okay, you're going to want to do the thing like this, and then you have to like sit on Bugsy's lap. So then she came over and sat on my lap as like a demonstration, like put her arm around me. But like, that was kind of it. But I remember at the time, all the guys in my class who were in the play at the same time were all like, dude, no way. She's on your lap, dude. That's her ass.
That's her asshole.
And I was like,
no way.
I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here.
So it's not really sexual harassment because she wasn't doing it out of like a sexual way. She was trying to demonstrate something. But I'm like,
it is weird and not appropriate for a teacher to sit on a student's lap.
yeah,
That's not not great.
I think she did it because she used to be like really close to our family because she dated my brother like years and years and years ago before she was a teacher when they were both back in college. I don't think my brother went to college, but when they were of college age, they dated for a while. And I think because there was like no romance at all. It was like, oh, it's just Sean, my brother's or my boyfriend's brother kind of vibe. But it was weird. And everyone else afterwards made a bigger deal out of it than I did.
That makes a little bit more sense that she like knew you more personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, still weird. Did you ever see any of your teachers
naked? No.
After you graduated? No, not naked.
No. Kind of. And I got to pull the old first name on them.
Ah, isn't that fun?
Yeah. It was like, what up?
I love that.
Name. And they were like, oh, that's weird. And I was like, yeah, it is weird. I hated that I said that.
I had that with a couple of teachers where they were fine if you called them their first name.
Would you just say sir or miss otherwise?
No. You would just call them, well, I mean, yes. Well, no. Sorry.
If you had your hand in the air and you called the teacher, what would you say?
You would say Mrs. Shakespeare or whatever.
Mrs. Lapsitter?
Yeah. You would say Mr. Shakespeare, Mrs. Shakespeare, blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, it also depends, like, in the U.S., on the region, because like if you're in the South, you would address everybody as like sir or ma'am, but not in the Northeast really.
Yeah, that's kind of what we did. It's sir or miss.
Did you ever do like a Harry Potter where it was like Professor?
They came over and they were like, what are you doing down there?
What are you doing on the floor?
I fell over. What'd you fall over for?
What'd you fall over? But there were some teachers that were fine if you called them. You couldn't do it like during class, but if you went in for help or something. I remember one of my teachers, she was fine if I called her Mary, which then became like a joke where I would, senior year, I would go into her class. I don't think in retrospect she probably appreciated this, but I would interrupt her class and be like, "Yo, Mary, what's up?
What is up, Mary, dude?"
She also, this was like not super. I mean, it's not inappropriate in like a sexual sense or anything, but just like a weird thing for a teacher to say. She would talk to me about her divorce a lot.
Oh.
And I'd be like, yeah, Mary, that sucks. And she's like, yeah, it's just like, it's rough going through it. I'm going through it right now.
She was looking for a new baby daddy.
Yeah, and she was older too. She wasn't young or anything.
Did you ever make a teacher cry?
Ooh.
Because I
don't think so.
We had a substitute teacher come in that was the principal's sister, and they were both like 50s. So they were like old women. And then any 50-year-olds listening to this are like, how dare you? Look, when you're fucking 14, everyone is a dinosaur.
Yeah.
But I remember...
Yeah, think of like freshmen versus seniors, like 14, 15 versus 17 and 18. It's like, they're so old.
Yeah, you're going to leave and be an adult soon. I'm going to live forever.
Oh, this summer is going to last for the rest of our lives.
But she came in to like sub for a class one time, and we were not good students. I was very disruptive, and I just goaded and coaxed other people all the time and went in on jokes. And she got so flustered and frustrated with us because we just wouldn't shut up, even if she yelled, that she just started crying and left the room.
Looking back on your youth, because I think that there's a couple of different versions of this. Because when I was younger, I was definitely more of like a class clown, but like in a way where teachers still liked me, but sometimes they'd be like, okay, Ethan, you have to stop. But there were some kids that were like class clowns and they were like more popular, but they were actually kind of like little shitheads. Which were you more on the side of looking back? Like, do you think you were kind of a shitty kid to teachers?
No, I think I talked a lot and my ADHD got the best of me and I just was very disruptive in class, but I was always nice to the teachers and I think the teachers liked me. But I was really not popular, but I was very well liked in my school. Like I had a lot of charisma when I was younger and made jokes a lot and my education suffered, but I had one kid who just took charisma for arrogance and was just one day came up to me and was like, we're going to fight at 4:00. And I was like, what? I don't want to do that.
Did you?
No, he just didn't show up, but he was like trying to put the fear of God in me.
Oh, so you showed up?
I didn't have a choice. I was stuck in school afterwards and our school was small. So it was like, I'm here.
I guess I'm here to fight.
And I was like really small. I was like 4.5 feet tall and he was even shorter than I was. And I'm like, why are you so mad?
Mm-hmm. I didn't hit my growth spurt until I was like 16 or 17 probably. And so I was super, super short my entire scholastic career.
Short kings.
Short kings, rise up.
Or don't. Just stay short.
Short kings, rise up as much as you can.
Yeah, but not to the top shelf, but just reach for it.
Yeah. Short kings, rise up and get a ladder.
Wait, what type of kid were you then?
So it depends because like my earlier years before I got on ADHD medication, I was pretty loud and like I wasn't a popular kid, but like what you were saying, like I was well liked.
Yeah.
But I was just like kind of loud and always talking. And then 7th grade I got put on ADHD meds. And this was a really big issue, obviously, like in the early mid 2000s of like ADHD wasn't really understood yet at all.
Yeah.
And so I was severely over medicated. Like as a 7th grader, I took almost double the amount of medication that I currently take.
What were you taking?
I was taking Adderall back then. And I think I was on 40 milligrams of Adderall.
Oh yeah, even 40 milligrams of Vyvanse. I'm like, oh, this is too much.
Yeah, because as an adult, I don't take Adderall anymore, but I did for a little bit when I was like 22 or something. But I took 20 milligrams, and even that, I was like, woo,
yeah.
So I went from being really loud and energetic all the time and constantly talking to literally silent.
Wow.
Which was real cool. That was great. But yeah, so once I started being on medication, I wasn't really as much of a class clown anymore because I would just sit there and be a husk of a human.
I just turned into a heartthrob.
Oh, damn.
Oh, man. I was like a heartthrob in my primary school because it was 12 of us in our class. So it was like, I guess I was the best to pick out of all the other boys, but it was like all the girls wanted to kiss me. But I remember in secondary school, that was like a little different because there's just more people. But I remember at one point we went out for like an outdoor day where we did like kayaking and like archery or whatever. And there was one moment where we had to like climb a pole and jump to another pole and we were like all harnessed in. And we were in those harnesses that like really just rip the baby makers out of you. And I don't know why. I think because my entire cock and balls just got trapped in like a certain position that it just looked like I was like this down there, like I had dumped ass in the front of my shorts. And every girl treated me like a king after that in my class because they all thought, I guess that's what you're told to think back then is like, if you have a big willy, you're set for life.
You are going to be a trillion.
And I remember walking around being like, hell yeah, on the outside, but inside I was like, no, it's all a lie. It was the pants. Those were my balls. But I was like, I'm not going to tell them. Let them think I'm cool.
I was never a heartthrob at all in any sense. The only time I remember getting attention for my looks is in middle school. We had beach day. So it was the second to last, because I grew up like fairly close to the ocean.
Yeah.
I grew up on a cape.
Cool.
Because my hometown was called Cape Elizabeth.
Like on Superman's back.
Yeah, exactly. But on the second to last day of school every year, it would be beach day. So the whole class would just take a big field trip to the beach. And I did gymnastics. And so that was the only day of the year. And I got excited for it every year because I was like, I'm going to take my shirt off. And I'm a gymnast, so I have abs. Yeah. And then that was the only thing, was me taking my shirt off and every girl being like, you have a six-pack. What you been doing with that all year? I was like, it's been there, baby.
Where's he been all this time?
What?
At least yours was real.
This is true.
No, I was...
yeah, that was the only time.
I peaked in high school, clearly. Or primary school, even. I was the heartthrob.
With your big dick swinging everywhere.
No, that day out as well, I remember, because I was big into video games and like Lord of the Rings, so archery was super cool to me. And had like a smaller like bow and arrow at home. And then we got to use like the big ones when we went out there. And I remember doing it and I had like my form down perfectly. And I remember other people in my class being like, I could hear me like, whoa, look at Sean. And I was like, hell yeah. First shot I took was a bullseye. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And then I was like, this is a good day for me. And then when we got back, I was like living in that headspace and I was like, yeah, these bows are like the really expensive ones. And then I pulled it and the thing snapped and the string flew off. And I was like, oh God. And I was like, I got to save it. And then right after that, we started doing the harness stuff. And at the time, I didn't know people were looking at my junkus. And I did a thing where I was like, I like climbing trees and stuff. I'm going to be real cool. So I tried to do the Spider-Man thing where you hang upside down with your feet together. But no one was on the other side of the harness. So I just went upside down and planted on my back and smashed the back of my head. And I was like, oh, this has gone off the rails real quick.
Just thinking about like being younger and like showing off so much, like to see how athletic you could be. It's just like, I'm gonna go climb that tree. It's just like, what are you doing?
It was like, stop. Because I was never intelligent in class, or at least like outwardly smart, because I was just scatterbrained all the time. And then when it was like, okay, my time to shine. I know how to do these things. Here we go. And then fell on my ass. And the world humbled me real quick. I was like, okay, don't show off. This is stupid.
Oh, man.
And then I climbed the pole and then was terrified of heights, even though the pole was like 20 feet off the ground. And I was like, I can't do it.
Did we talk about the pole?
That was what we had to climb with the harness.
Oh.
And then it was like you got to the top and there was like a big square platform on it. And then you went to like another one. You had to like jump and grab like a trapeze bar. And then that was on like a decelerator thing like they have in wall climbing gyms where you like grab it and it like brings you down slowly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
We didn't have that.
It was pretty cool. But we had to go to like a special place to do it outside. And then we went kayaking and I was really fun at that. I was fun at that.
I was really fun at that. We had a senior year in my school. You could take a class called PE Adventure.
Wow.
Which was just like a gym class, but you would do like really cool shit. Like we had a pool at our school. Because the community sort of like rec center was connected to our school. So that was where our pool was and like the gym was and stuff like that. And so we got to do a scuba diving course where this dude came in and gave us all tanks and we would swim around in the pool. It was so cool. It was awesome.
Oh, I want to do that.
And then we went like kayaking and stuff. It was dope. We went and stayed overnight on an island that was off off the coast, and so we would kayak out to the island, and then we stayed there overnight. And all the teachers were like, "Yeah, you guys can pretty much do whatever you want. Just like
don't die.
Please don't do anything stupid." Yeah, because we were seniors at that point, so they were like, "We trust you guys. Like, don't do anything dumb. Like, obviously, don't try and leave the island. Like,
don't
and
smoke
we
a badger."
Okay. Yeah. And so we all just like went out and we played Manhunt in the middle of the woods at like 3:00 in the morning.
Fuck yeah.
It was fucking awesome because the whole island was pretty small and the only thing on it were sheep. And so they were like, yeah, there's no like, and we don't have like venomous snakes or anything like that in Maine, but they were like, yeah, there's no predators on this island. So like, just be careful of like rocks and stuff. So we just went out in like pitch darkness and played Manhunt in the woods.
Be careful of venomous rocks. Just come up and get hit in the back of the head with a rock. That's the like plot and location of a murder like slasher movie. That's like The Quarry.
It is. I'm surprised that nobody died.
Yeah, from rocks.
Mm-hmm. From venomous rocks.
Yeah, school was a weird time. We also got to go to Germany once for like a school trip and go to like Brussels and stuff, because it was we were in Cologne and then everything's sort of like close to one another, so we got to go to like different countries, and then it was like you had to pay a couple of hundred. Actually, I think it was like 600 to 800 euro at the time to go do it. Maybe not. But I remember thinking like, holy fuck, I got to save up for this one trip. It's going to be epic. And I remember going there, and that was the first time doing that thing like at the beach where we were all like 17-ish, 16 years old. So we were all like of age and like all about our bodies, and we'd all hit puberty. So then we went to like a swimming pool thing.
We were all blossomed.
Yeah. We went to like a swimming pool, and then that was the time when all the boys and girls got to like check out each other's bodies, and we're all like, whoa, look at him, look at her.
Whoa.
And that was also the first time where it was like, oh, some of the girls can't swim today because they have headaches. And I was like, oh, weird. And I told that to my sister, and she was like, Sean. And I was like, oh, they had periods. Oh, I didn't think about that. They can't swim. They should have just had their vodka tampons with them.
Unbelievable.
That was one of those trips then afterwards at nighttime. It was like one guy in our class who everyone thought was not into any of that stuff was like looking for alcohol. And we were like, what? You want to drink? It was like, none of us have alcohol. What are you doing? And then he was like, did you see the boobs on Name earlier? And we were like, what? Who is this guy?
Look at the tits on Name over there.
I can't name names.
I do remember like kind of a similar thing in the sense of like figuring out about a bunch of like different kids. So did you guys have like senior pranks or anything like that?
No.
It was a big thing, at least in Maine, I think all over the US, of just like senior year, the senior class will play a prank on the school. But the previous years, there had been just like a bunch of vandalism for the senior prank. And so the principal was like, yep, okay, don't do that anymore. And so they were like, if you want to do a senior prank, which this kind of defeats the purpose of it, you have to get it approved. And so we had like a big track next to our school. And so we were just like, okay, we're not going to do a prank, but our prank is going to be everyone in the senior class is going to camp out on the track overnight.
Oh.
And it was really fun because no one that normally were friends interacted with each other.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I don't really know why. But everyone just like intermingled.
That's cool.
And it was just like, oh, and it also was like kind of sad because it was the day before we were all gonna graduate.
Oh.
And so we were all like, oh, why didn't any of us talk to each other? Like, we're all friends now.
Yeah.
And now we're leaving. But it was like a really weird night where everybody just like became friends who hadn't really talked all that much before. And like, again, it was 140 kids. So it was like everyone knew each other, obviously, but not everyone were friends. Or really like knew everything about each other. And so that night was just like, oh, wow, there's so many more friends. And now we're going to leave and never talk again.
Man, your school years sound like movie plots. I was like, this night's going to last forever. And I'm like, I hit myself in the face with a bow and arrow and then jumped upside down and smashed my head. And then everyone thought I had a big penis when it was nothing. And you're like, everyone became friends. We camped out on an island. It was sick. I met my wife that night.
I guess, like, I don't know. There were points where it was like, oh, man, high school was cool. But for the most part, I hated it. And I also, like, didn't experience much of my high school at all because I was in gymnastics. And so I'd go to school and then immediately leave. But there were some fun points.
I liked secondary school. I didn't like the academic side of it. And that caused way more stress than it should have. But I had a lot of friends, and we did a lot of fun stuff together, and shitting my pants, and
hell yeah,
whatever.
Was that not in college?
No, that was 17 years old. The second time was college when I like split my toe.
Oh, okay.
But the first time, I did college twice, and I shit twice. I keep talking to my therapist about stuff like about my youth and where I grew up, and she's like, "It sounds like a really harsh place." And I was like, "Yeah, I didn't have a great upbringing."
I've talked a lot about my past with my therapist recently, and just having like a lot of those realizations of where it's just like, oh, that thing that happened when I was a kid, that was fucked up.
Yeah.
Looking back on it and just being like my whole life being like, yeah, that was the thing that happened. And then talking to a professional and then being like, that's not normal. And I'm like, oh, fuck, you're right.
Yeah. I was like explaining some of my life story. And now it's like, oh, wait, that's trauma. I have trauma and so much of it that I didn't realize. Because I was like mitigating it so much. I'm like, that doesn't count, right? And then she's like, yeah, it does. Yeah, it's great. Maybe we should have a therapy episode one day where we just like divulge all of our feelings.
I don't know what your relationship to your therapist is, but I was telling her this the other day because I had a dream about my therapist. And I was like, yeah, it was really interesting because you were telling me stuff about yourself in my dream. And it was just like that she had like a daughter or something like that. And I was telling her about that. And I was like, yeah, it's really weird because thinking about it, it's like in real life, I don't know anything about you other than your name and your profession.
Yeah.
And like you probably generally live in this area because that's where your office is.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know anything about you. And it was weird having that kind of conversation. And she still didn't give me any information about herself, but she was like, well, what would you think if I had a daughter?
How does that make you feel?
Yeah. I was just like, she did get like kind of therapist-y on it. And I was like, I don't know, like it wouldn't change anything, but it was just a weird thing to dream about, like to have you in my dream and also know any personal details about you at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably good that way. Because my therapist also doesn't look up anything got to do with like my YouTube or anything. I'm like, good. I don't really want you to see me that way and see me differently.
Yeah, my therapist also doesn't, which is nice. Therapy's great. And then you realize you have trauma and you go, oh.
It's like all these wounds that have scabbed over and scarred. Let's scalpel them open again and pour salt in them.
Let's just pull open all those little scabs. You love picking at scabs.
Speaking of therapy and advice, shall we do an advice segment?
Let's do our very good
Sean and Ethan's bad advice. Ethan and Sean's corner of bad advice.
Woo! And you have background lights now.
I do. I forgot to turn them on before that. Anybody listening, pretend there's lights in your ears.
Oh, hell yeah, they're bright.
This one, I'm milky white and overexposed now. This question comes in from Tappy Okuma. And they ask, how do people become popular and likable? Which, as you pointed out, is pretty good because we talked about being popular and likable in school.
Yeah, and I think that we already kind of answered the question with your story, is if you just have a big dick,
Yeah.
then
My secret to being likable is that I grew up in a household that had a lot of talking and a lot of trauma and no positive emotions. So I went inward to find myself. And what I found was comedy. And all I do in my entire life is crack jokes constantly, even when people don't ask. And then I judge the room and figure out, is this working? And then I double down. And then I keep making jokes until somebody has a snide remark like, ha, always a joke, huh? And then I get sad.
I think that that's the perfect thing to do, is if you have any troubles in your life, if you have any real problems, any real trauma, anything that's really affected you negatively in your life, just make a joke about it.
Yeah.
And then it's fine.
Yeah.
And then your therapist asks you, hey, why can't you just talk about your feelings in a serious way? And why do you have to end everything with like, isn't that fun? Why can't you just talk about your emotions, real?
Yeah.
And I say, well, that wouldn't be a bit, would it?
Just develop a British accent. What you gotta do, okay, to be popular and likable is like cool people, popular people, hot bitches, really cool, like people who are popular and just everybody likes them and they're hot and attractive. They don't have shit figured out. They're miserable inside. So you got to take all your traumas and bury them deep down and then just not give a shit. Just pave over the past hurts.
Is that the key to it, do you think? Is misery? Being miserable?
Dude, punished artist is a trope for a reason. All the true artists are all broken inside. That's how you make true art. That's why I stopped caring about my content, because I actually got happier.
I think that's the key, is that if you want to make anything meaningful in life, you can't be happy.
Yeah.
You know? Because how are you going to have perspective? You know? You have to get to a point that is so low and horrific.
Everything is up.
You have to hit rock bottom. Don't wait for rock bottom to come to you. You got to rock bottom
you should sink to its level. What you should do is design a perfect version of yourself that you want to be and then become it. Don't like fake it till you make it. Fake it till you become it. And then it doesn't matter afterwards. Whatever happens, happens. Then you're there. Then you just worry about the next problem of like, how do I love myself? Was this a mistake?
Well, because then, there's so many people that go to people for advice and stuff like that. You can then become that person because you have so much at your arsenal.
Yeah.
Because you have overcome so much.
Like we're popular and successful on our platforms, but we don't have anything figured out. We're broken on the inside.
Yeah, but that's
part of our charm, huh?
That is, baby.
That makes us quirky and relatable.
And I love being quirky and relatable. If you're happy, you're not relatable.
Quick, be vulnerable for a second.
No.
That shows real guts. I think we answered that one perfectly.
Oh, yeah, I think that was good.
Somebody else asked how to fix their marriage. Don't. 50% of them end in divorce anyway, so you're kind of betting against the odds here. If you went to a racetrack and somebody was like, bet $1 million on this horse, but he's a 50% chance of losing, would you bet on him?
But that also, I think it's a perspective thing. He's got a 50% chance of winning.
That's true, but it's also $1 million. It's either keep the million and do something with that, or I don't know how much you're winning on it.
Okay, you take the million and you bet on someone else's marriage that is thriving.
You just go to somebody else's couples therapy and sit in.
Oh, man, they should do that. I would do that.
Sit in on a couples therapy?
I would love for there to be like a public you could sign up to be like a public mediator kind of thing, where it's kind of like
debate.
They should do that. It's like jury duty.
Okay, here's how you're fixing your marriage. Ethan's going to lay it out for you right now.
Uh-huh. Okay, I'm going to come in, and you're going to be like, oh, my husband cheated on me, or whatever. And then I'm going to come in, I'm going to listen to both sides, and I'm going to go, ugh, bud, you probably shouldn't have done that. That was kind of shit. And he'll go, yeah, that was bad. And then I'll look to you, and I'll be like, kind of up to you. Do you forgive him? Do you don't?
That's not a new thing. That is couples therapy. The mediator is the therapist.
That's what I'm talking about, though. Me with no qualifications, no paper that says I can do this thing. I'm just a normal guy, and I'm coming in. I have no bias at all, and which I guess the therapist doesn't either. But
that's not the point. That's not the point.
That's not the point. I come in completely normal person. I'm not gonna dissect the whole thing and therapize it. You know, I'm just gonna come in and be like, oh, this happened. Ah, you're being kind of an asshole. Like blah 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 blah. I would love that. Would be so much fun.
Yeah, I love judging people, and it would be so cool to just like sit there and be like, yeah, fucked up, but also what you did was also fucked up.
But I think it would be also cool if you took it another step and you had them sort of in a room. You know the show Love is Blind?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you did that, but with therapy, so you can't see the people at all. And also they use a voice changer. So you can't hear what they sound like either. Maybe they use some AI technology.
Yeah.
So then they both sound like Oprah Winfrey or something coming through the thing. So you can't discern who is who.
Yeah.
You just have to say, okay, here's story 1, here is story 2. You're hearing it from the same voice. Because I think inherently, if you hear 2 different people, you see different people, you're going to say like, oh, they have nice eyes, or oh, they have a calming voice. So your brain is automatically going to be like, oh, I like this person better because of the way that they carry themselves or whatever. But if AI is making Oprah Winfrey talk about your marriage and it falling apart, this is perfect.
We should turn marriage into a game show where people who have been like cheated on are like the really awful parts of like relationships breaking up. And then the person who is the victim in the scenario gets to stand in the middle. And then you just put up like contestants in front of them and they have to pick their partner out of them like that with AI. Mm-hmm. So then you know if true love really exists, they'll go back to them again.
Yeah, and Drew Carey can be the host.
Yeah. It's like the price is right, but the marriage is saved.
This marriage is fucked.
That's the way it goes. It's either you ring the divorce bell at the end, or you renew the vows then and there. You bring it like a pastor comes on, or Drew Carey. Maybe your dad rollerblades in.
The renewal of vows. I don't know.
Sounds kind of tight.
You know, well, does it though? Is it performative?
For some people, probably. I mean, even regular marriage is probably performative for some people. Everything's performative for some people.
Not this podcast.
No, never. This is for you guys, not for us. We do this for you.
We love you guys so much.
Anyway, consider your marriage saved. You're welcome for the bad advice. Let's do one more. How do I get mommy and daddy to stop fighting?
You get them to go on this game show that's new, okay? It's hosted by Drew Carey.
Called How Do I Save My Marriage? What if you didn't get mommy and daddy to stop fighting? What if you goaded them on? What if you became the instigator where it's like, oh, he's always leaving his fucking shoes out. So then when he finally starts putting them away, you like pull them out and like dishevel them again. And then you just keep playing the fucking puppet master. So have some fun with it.
I like the idea of you being like a person watching like a medieval jousting match where your parents are fighting and you're in the corner and you have some what is it called?
Spaghetti.
No. It's like the turkey leg.
Lamb shank.
No, it's called. I wanted to say mutton. I wanted to say mullet so bad.
It's just mutton's just sheep.
Oh, is it really?
Mutton is just sheep meat.
Oh, Well, yeah, you have the big the big leg, and then you're in the corner. They're fighting, and you're just like, yeah, kill him. That would be so cool.
What if we did
I like the cheerleader,
like Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal, but the family doesn't know. Even the person who's trying to save or stop the parents from fighting, you just make like two-way mirrors in someone's house. You find a family that are fighting, and then you just start observing them and watching it like Truman Show style. And then you can like bring the person in afterwards and then be like, okay, here's what we figured out. And you algorithm the family.
Oh, that would be so cool if you made a show that was like, it's called Squatters' Rights. You just break into somebody's home without them knowing, and you're living in the walls, and you make a whole TV show about their lives. That would be awesome.
It's like however long you can go without being caught is however long the season goes.
Oh, that's
He's
like
in
Linus
the
Tech
walls.
Tips when his employees sneak into his house without him knowing.
Who?
God, that's Linus Tech Tips.
Oh, yeah.
They always have people in his house. That's a brilliant show idea. Squatters' rights. NBC, pick it up.
Yeah, and what did it say? Like, how long do you have to be living in a place before it's like yours?
I think in California, I think it's 7 years.
You have to live there for 7 years before it becomes yours?
How long? 5 years.
5/10 of the law. Mm-hmm. So if you just live in somebody's house for 5 years, but if they're also living in it, then you're not a squatter. You're a home invader.
Yeah, no, it's not the same. If you find like an abandoned... Okay, hold on though. How does this work? If you find some sort of like abandoned property or you sneak into an apartment or whatever, and then they go in and they're like, okay, we're going to sell this property. You're there. And then they're like, oh, you can't be here. Get out. And then you're like, nope, squatters' rights. How do you prove that you've been there for 5 years?
You start marking your heights on the wall every year to see how much you grow.
How does that work?
You do the thing like every person in like a prison scene where you just like put the marks on the wall and dashes through it. So you count your days. So the entire wall.
Because we as people, you know, we like to, as a society, which we live in one, we're so mischievous. You know, we love to lie.
You could just do that.
How does
just say trust me, bro.
I've actually never thought about that. How do they prove that they've been there?
If they're there for 5 years, will somebody just come in and be like, you got me, here's the deed?
I guess so. Do you not have to pay anything?
You just get it tax-free. Dude, that sounds much better than buying houses. Just go live in one for 5 years, because not only do you have a house for 5 years where you probably didn't have one before, but then it becomes yours.
That's wild. In California, a squatter has the right to occupy an abandoned or unoccupied property if they can prove they have been using and occupying the property for 5 years or more without interruption. But how? How do you prove that?
I've actually only been here for 2 weeks. Can you just give it to me anyway? No one's coming back.
Give it to me pro bono.
Yeah.
I don't really know what pro bono is.
In my head, it means like for free or without.
Before the bono.
Before bono. Pro bono.
Pro bono. The term pro bono, which is short for pro bono publico, is a Latin term that means for the good of for the public good.
Look, we're getting way off track here. We're trying to stop mommy and daddy from fighting. So what you want to do is find an abandoned house, put mommy and daddy in it for 5 years, see if there's still fight when they don't have anything else, including you, to love and cherish.
I think that this is actually a really good way to solve it, though, because I feel like so many marriages, you know, it's not actually about the relationship that's the issue. It's all of these other things that are becoming the problem. You know, the bills aren't being paid. Somebody's not doing the dishes. Blah, 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 blah,
That's
blah,
why
blah,
marriages fail. The dishes.
That's why the marriage is failing.
You didn't wash the dishes for the fourth time this week. Right, I'm going.
Because Todd is not doing his fucking dishes, and Sally's coming in. And she's like, fuck, you were supposed to do these goddamn dishes. If you remove everything else.
Buy a
and all they have to
dishwasher.
focus on. Oh, shit.
It's saved. Wait, no, this sounds like good advice. So the bad advice would be don't stop your parents from fighting. Let them hash it out. See where the dust settles. And you'll either get parents again or 2 Christmases.
Which, honestly, it's a win-win for you.
And then they compete against each other.
Man.
To see who's the better parent, who loves you more, and custody and all that. And you will feel
That's
so loved
sick,
when your parents
actually,
split up.
because you can do it kind of like when you're trying to get a new job, and it's just like, oh well, this company offered me this much, and then you go back and forth and saying, Dad said he was.
Put your parents in a bidding war.
And it's like, Dad said for Christmas he was going to get me a Honda Pilot. And then you go back to Mom, and Mom's like, oh, Mom said that she was going to get me a BMW. And you just keep going up. Unlimited money.
Until we're at a fucking
Oh, my
Bugatti.
God.
Yeah, and then all your friends are going to be like, your parents are divorced? Oh, I'm so jealous. My parents are still together and love each other.
Damn. I remember when I had one Christmas.
Anyway, there you go. Your problems are solved. You're welcome, everybody. Until next time, you're going to have to wait until... Send us in more.
Next time. You're going to have to wait until next time? You're going to have to wait until next time.
Send us in more, and we'll give you some terrible advice for your life.
Yes, and this is where you can send it.
Well... What another exciting episode of Brain Leak. I hope all your brains have melted inside your heads and are coming out your ears. That's a sign of a good pod.
This is what it's all about, baby. Just letting everything leak on by, and...
It's layers. We started at youth school. Next week is going to be the first time we got arrested.
Oh, man, and that story
Can't wait.
Wild.
Anyway, go follow Brain Leak in every single place that you can. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube,
LinkedIn.
Just hop on by our LinkedIn pages. And don't forget to subscribe and follow the podcast on your favorite podcast platforms so you can keep up to date with it whenever the new episodes come out. What else do you have to say? One last thing. Finish off the episode.
Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, don't fix the leak.
Don't call a plumber. Keep leaking.